Righty, so welcome back. Well, it's been a crazy couple of days. I haven't really done anything. Today's Tuesday. I didn't really do anything yesterday. I come in yesterday morning and fixed a couple of rivets, and I talked about what was sort of going on. I hadn't finished it in the video, so I'm not sure actually put in, but kind of got to the point where really needed some more money to put towards it. I basically ran out of money for the job. And I can't go on as a charity case. There's a lot of weeks where I haven't put in a full 40 hours, but I wasn't taking a full 40 hours for the money out of it either, if you know what I mean. But you gotta live. So anyway, I got to the point where he said, well, I really want to know everything that's been done to the thing. So I sat down for, well, when I wasn't working, pretty much full time, went through all the videos and footage. I had a record of all the hours that I'd spent each day and what vehicle I was working on. So I went through all the footage and just, wouldn't say all the footage, but I went through and roughly worked out what I'd been doing each day, and what I achieved and made and whatever, and wrote it all down. I had like 20 pages in an A4 book that I had bought to do with the job. But I hadn't really written it all in. But I went through and just worked out everything I'd done and what days I hadn't worked. I wrote that down as well on his car, whether I'd been on the Studebaker or whether I'd been a public holiday or Christmas or whatever. I'd written it all down through. And I actually went through and tallied everything up, and he actually owed me $5,500 for up till now with the hours that I've worked and materials. So I said, I want another 10 grand and I'll finish the car. I'm hoping, because I've allowed it from this Wednesday, which is tomorrow, till the 29th. It will take a couple of days, allowing for weather, because I've got to put the Studebaker outside when I paint the fucking thing. I can't keep that in here. So obviously depending on weather, but I think I should have it painted in the next 3 weeks and back together. I'm hoping I should have these guards and fenders painted and all the black stuff painted by the weekend, and maybe have the motor and gearbox in it. If I can do that, I'll be in really good shape, because I don't think it's going to take much to pull the body up. I know the doors are good, apart from another coat of primer and then sand it out. I don't think it'll take much to bring the hood tops and sides up. So yeah, as long as the black stuff comes up good and I have no issues painting the thing and we get it blocked out okay, we should be in good shape. I've got a few other little bits and pieces to do. I want to rebuild the battery box if I get a chance. And obviously we're going to strip and clean a few other small parts, steering box and bits and pieces, and blow some paint on them as well. When I paint the black, we'll see. Maybe the battery box and that I might just do separately, just mix up a little bit and spray it and then put it in. At a slightly later date, it might be one of the last things I do, but I'll try and get it rebuilt if I can. But yeah, I think we should be able to do it. I don't think there's anything, and I've allowed it in a contingency for a few days here and there, depending on weather. So if it pisses down for the next 2 weeks, well, I'm not going to get it frickin' painted, because I would, but I'd have to really cover that car, but I don't want to paint the stuff while it's in there. It just doesn't give me the room either to spread the amount of parts out I need to paint in certain colours, if you know what I mean. Because obviously all the hood sides and tops I need to lay out. All the doors I need to lay out, especially to paint the back side of them. And then around the jambs, and then we can put all the doors and everything on, and then paint the outside with the hinges. So yeah, it's kind of where we're at. So we'll get sanding, see if I can get this stuff ready for prime. And hopefully tomorrow's good. I can whip the car outside, or if it's better later on for an hour or two, at least get some primer on these last 4 body panels that are major. I've got a couple other small things, but I can whip them through later on. I'm just going to give them a couple of coats of paint, rub them out and paint them. They're not critical. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So I'll get on with it. Yeah, stop waffling. Righty, let's take one of those moments I just thought, because the edges aren't on this very deep at all in this front balance. They're not very wide. I'm just thinking, because I know that this is the bolt holes for the front fender. Trying to go over here. I'm just wondering whether this here has been worn off. The edge. So I just wasn't sure on. Might be right. Just thinking out loud about this stuff. So I thought I just, so I never really put this on here, you see. Well, I had, but I didn't really sort of, oh yeah, that's how it works. And I just thought a bit I can have a wee check here, just to see how much this crap, because it goes on here like this, which is really a bit of a shit way to do it, but that's how they did it, obviously. And then this goes on here. I assume there's probably meant to be some sort of washer on there, obviously, so you don't screw the frickin'. So what I might do is just walk a guard over here, or a fender, and just see how much that covers, because if it doesn't cover much out here, we'll see how it covers. Not that I want to, but I might just maybe just put a bit extra metal on this edge out here, just so it's covered. I don't know, we'll have a look. It might be we just need to be like that and uncover this bit. Or just quickly bring the front fender over. Just double check that before I start priming and put paint on it. was really worried just that it might have been nothing sticking out there, but that's cool. That's actually plenty. Plenty. That's good enough to worry about. I just was wondering, you know, actually the edges, let's see. That's good, that's fine. Good. Alright, I'm happy now. I'm happy now. Righty, so I think I've blocked out, I'll send it out the primer. I think I've got it good enough. I had a quick look around. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up one of my acrylic blocks because I've still got 240 on my Dura block. Yeah, still, I think it's 240. Have a look. Oh. Or 220, yeah, 220, 240, same difference, just a little bit different. So I think what I'm going to do, because I've got some panels that need blocked out with 400, so I think I'm going to put some 400, this shit stuff that I don't particularly like, on some of my big long Dura blocks, or not Dura blocks, acrylic blocks, and I'm going to block out some of these panels that are primed out that are ready for a real fine block out, and hopefully that'll tell me whether I've got any other highs and lows, just in case I do need an extra prime or two. So yeah, it's a bit, I could push the car out and do some spraying, but I'll see what the weather's like in the morning, and then if it's weather's good, I'll smash some high build on those last three and whatever, and that's why I'm going to block out a few more of these. If they need an extra prime in the morning, I can do them as well, and hopefully I might have the missus down here for a few hours tomorrow, so we get some more blocking and priming and whatever done, all this stuff. But yeah, so I won't talk long, I'll just get it done. Right, morning guys. Had a bit of a trim up. Apparently I got held down and attacked with the clippers. Anyway, I'll knock this couple bits of glazing putty off that I put in last night on some of these other pieces, just see how they turn out, and just work out what else, and see if I can maybe get another coat, a couple of coats of primer on some stuff. Well, I've got some primer mixed up obviously. Because I need to prime those 4 parts that hasn't had anything at all. I might also try and get these to see if we can, well this one here, I'll get it sand out fully. This one here just needs a little bit, and then it needs another coat. And I'll just see, maybe I'll try and get some more primer on some of like the doors and bits and pieces, because they really only need, I think, apart from, I'll have to have a double check, I think there might be a little bit of glazing putty on one. Basically they just need a couple of light coats, and then just, as I said, a very light sand out with some 600 or something like that. So yeah, and we'll go from there. And also, once I get these rear fenders and the front fender primed on the inside and the outside in that front balance, then I can get that other bottle of texture coat and do the insides of the balances and bits and pieces, and then the front fender, and get them coated so when we paint we can just paint straight over top, if you know what I mean. So that looks good. At least then I'd rather get the texture coat on now, you know, and obviously mask out the edges and bits and pieces, so just in case there happens to be any overspray, we need to sand it off. It can come off, you know, you're not trying to fight with it right at the last minute, if you know what I mean, trying to get shit off it. So yeah, we'll see how we get on, but I would like to get something primed today. Man, that old frickin' thing starts good. We've worked out that basically at the moment, you don't even need to pull the choke out, just frickin' at the starter switch. Don't even need a little bit of throttle. If you do that, it's harder to start. Yeah, because every time I pull the throttle out and just give it a little bit of, pull the choke out and you just give it a little bit of throttle to start it. It does start, but you know, it takes 2 or 3 times to, and just get it to fire up. But if you just leave the throttle closed and the choke like fully open, and just hit the start, boom, just sits there and idles. It's like, sweet, and then you can just give a little bit of throttle, just bring the revs up. But yeah, frickin' runs really good. But we need to get the new, well, another cam belt on it, because yeah, that broke. We'll have to try and clean up the paint on the block a little bit. It's frickin' been whooping around there as we've had it running. It must have started falling apart there a wee while ago, but we didn't panic about it. We thought, oh, we'll just change it. But yeah, it started really flapping around and putting black rubber everywhere. So anyway, wet sanding, get these things cleaned up. We'll have probably a blowout and a sweep out, and then we'll get some primer done. And we'll just see what else we can hit up with some primer. Between the sawhorses and bits and pieces, we might be able to lay out quite a few bits and pieces and just get another prime on as many parts as we can, I guess. Yeah, that'll do. We'll work with that. And which block do I want that one? Yep, better turn the music down. It's a bit loud still. Right. So where were we at to? Started sanding here. Only just started. Just to knock this stuff off. I did just run over these once more because they had the sunlight pouring in here. I pulled the door down because it was getting too hot standing in the sun. And I've just filled a couple of little extra marks on only a couple of little bits and pieces. But here, it looked quite terrible. Like it was within ballpark, but you know what I mean. Because I'd just been sanding little bits and pieces off here and there, it was starting to get lumpy. So I thought, screw it, I'll just put another skim through and we'll just block it out one more time. Because sometimes that happens, you know, you put all these little pieces in to fill some holes. And yeah, you end up, like I said, digging yourself holes. That's kind of what I mean by digging yourself holes. Like you start filling the little bits and pieces, like say here, and you know, you might have another one here and here, you know, like when you've been putting body filler in, and then you start sanding it off. But when you actually go to, when you get in the right light, when the light sun's really low in the morning, yeah, it looked terrible because you could see all the highs and lows in it. And I run the block over it a couple of times and you can see it wasn't going to pull it out. So I just gave it another full skim, thin. And it was a bit like that here through here too, so I've done it through here. I didn't really want to do it in here. I was hoping not to have to. But yeah, so hopefully once that dries, we can smash it back with some bit of 80 grit and hopefully I'm going to use the, where the heck is it? Oh, this one here. I'm hoping to use this and get a good even, because these are nice and hard. So it doesn't flex, or it does flex, but it doesn't give, I guess you'd call it, so much. Like the Durablock, they're good, but they can, I suppose, deform a little bit. They don't give a true indication. They're good for roughing stuff out, you know, and 9 times out of 10 you actually end up with a decent paint job. But yeah, I want to use that hard block because hopefully it'll flatten it out better. I might even swap to maybe a slightly larger one. I've got this one here. Actually I might. Biggest problem is I can't put long piece of paper. I might put some of that shit 80 on there, on the slightly longer one. That was actually from sanding metal, I think. But yeah, I might put this one on just to try to get it a longer piece. Just see if we can get it to flatten out properly. So I'll put a piece of paper on there now. Fine with me. So we had to clean up the other day and I was just not sure where my 80 is. No, it's not coarse enough. So yeah, we'll just give that one more block, hopefully. I don't have to screw around with it too much more because I want to get some primer on. No, what am I doing here? Where's my rolling 80 gone? Because I'd use that, but I can't stick it to those hard blocks. It's alright in that. Oh, I suppose I could use that. It doesn't. Biggest problem is that doesn't quite conform to shape. It just stays flat. It's good on, like I say, here, but it's good on like real flat stuff. It's not too bad on here, sort of type thing, but you really want at least those hard blocks will just flex to shape a little bit. I'll find my paper. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, it's us. I'll throw a bit of that on there, and yeah, hopefully by that stage that filler might be hard. Rory! I think it might have been a while since I've done an update today. Been doing a lot of sanding. Took me quite a while to get that fucking front fender dialed in. Where I was happy. So I've got all the doors laid out and the other 4 panels and the 2 tops for the hood. I'm not going to spray anything else because basically I can't lay it out, or I haven't finished doing really any sanding on the body apart from what a little bit I did on the top of the cow there earlier on, and then I got freaking around with that thing for ages, just trying to make it where I was happy with it, just keep chasing it. It's one of those things, you know, you sort of think you're good and you know, you get it in the right light, you know, that low sun, and yeah, freaking screws you up and you think, oh geez, that's not very nice. It's not as nice as I thought it was. That's when I did all the heat shrinking on, I think. I'd have to double check. But yeah, I think that's when I did all the heat shrinking on. And that centerpiece. But yeah, so I think I've got it dialed in enough now that I can pour some high build on it, and I think we can get a reasonable success blocking it out and see if we can make it look pretty. So yeah, I'll get and just going through my guns to make sure it's clean. The last time I used it, I sprayed some shit through it and sort of just left it. Left a little bit of thinners in it, but I noticed there was a bit of gunk and shit in it, so I just I gave everything a good scrub and rinse and put it back together. I'm just clean out the top of the pot. It's got a bit of shit around it too. Need to stop being so lazy sometimes, but you just get freaking busy and I give it that quick switch out and I'll get back to it later and you forget because you're just freaking sanding for the next 3 days. 4 days. So yeah, I'm going to mix up some high build. That'll take a bit to freaking get stirred up too because it's the second can. But yeah, we should get I'm thinking maybe just a couple of decent ones on those doors. And the stuff that hasn't been primed, I'll try and do inside and out. Well yeah, I will, but I'll probably get sort of maybe 3 or 4 on the outside, or the part that's painted that you see, and then the rest I'll just give a couple, and these hood tops I might just give 3 or 4 just to see if we can pull them up a little bit better with that pitting. A lot of it's disappeared, but there's still a little bit there, and I filled a few pieces, and yeah, we'll just try and pour some on to help fill whatever it needs to be. So I think what I'll do is I'll just mix up a couple of times, I think, just so I don't end up wasting too much. So I'll mix up, I think it's a 600ml cup, is it? No, it's 500. So 4 to 1, 500 mils is, yeah, 4. So 4 and about 10% will be 10%, yeah, thereabouts. That's what it seems to, this gun seems to spray the stuff at. I don't seem to be able to get it any thinner or thicker than that without it not wanting to spray at all. So it's somewhere around about that 10%. I don't know why, this gun just doesn't like it. It should spray it without any. It's like 1.8, and then we did modify the tip a little bit to try and get a little bit more through it. It's 2mm. I put a little 2mm drill bit through it, yeah, it still just won't push the paint through that I think it should, even at 35 psi. I might just lift it to a little bit more than that, just to see whether it will suck it through, but and spray it out thickly. But yeah, I just can't seem to get that. And I've talked to a few other people, and they got 1.8mm guns, and they said it sprays fine, not without being thin. So I don't know. One of those things, I suppose every gun's different. Anyway, we'll get some primer mixed up, and we'll get some primer on, and by that stage it'll be pretty much time to shift a bit of stuff and frickin' move everything back in once I get that stuff done. Fortunately it dries quick, this shit, so, and it's warm. It's actually quite warm, we're getting some hot breezes, so I'll just get the small door open, the other end, just hopefully keep the dust down a little bit, or keep the dust moving through here, and I'll close all the doors before I paint and just give it another last little dust down. And then, yeah, we'll get some paint mixed and get into it. Might turn the phone back on when we're spraying. Right, so got all this stuff primed. Hopefully the doors will be spot on for a light. I think I'll probably wet sand them with 600. I'll see. I haven't quite decided yet, but I need to get some. I don't think I've got any good 600 paper left, so we'll work that out. Obviously, the balance and the guards and stuff will need sanded properly. I was a little bit quick turning them over. A borderline, like probably another 5 minutes or 10 minutes. That might be right. I just didn't want to. That paint was, because it's really got really hot and was drying quick, so I was trying not to. Because the gun was basically empty and I was going to mix up a little bit more. I just didn't want it to go off in the gun too much. We'll have to try and clean it twice. We'll come back later on. So yeah, if I probably waited another few more minutes, probably been fine. But just left a little bit of mark. We're on the first prime. Hopefully, we'll get away with it. Anyway, so yeah, I think even the hood tops don't look too bad. I noticed I got a bit of a fucking mark in there. There was a low spot there and I put a little bit of glazing paint. He must have left a line in it when I was sanding or whatever. We'll fix that. But yeah, I think we should be okay. We'll block these out with 400. Block the doors out with 600. All the rest we'll do with 240. Yeah, and then we'll obviously finish these off. I think that's ready to, this valance here is ready to sand with, I would say 600, but we'll see. See where we go at, and might need another one. That's got a little bit of glazing putty to knock off, and then we can reprime that. The guard still needs reprimed. And these here I think need sanded and then probably reprimed. I think these really on the sort of their first prime. I think I'm trying to remember. One of them's has been one of them. I can't remember. I'll better tell when I'll have a better look at them. But yeah, they both need obviously sanded out. So yeah, we're getting close. Yeah, that front guard took me a while to get sorted. It's still not perfect. There's a few bits in there that I missed that disappeared in amongst the whatever, but at least now I'll better actually give them a bloody good block out with 240, and we'll actually better see what else is left to give a little bit of glazing putty, and we might better sand some of the worst of the shit out, if you know what I mean. We'll just see what happens. It looks reasonable. It's in a reasonable shape, and it's not real fucking terrible looking. It's not as good as I would like to have, but I just wanted to get a few coats on it. At least then we can block it with 240, and we can just fill the imperfections, and then blow another coat on it. I think what I might do, just to be safe, and hopefully I don't need it, I might just order another can of primer, and then if I don't use it, I've got it here, and I want to order another can of the texture undercoat, because I've got one, but I don't want to start putting one on these inner fenders and valances and then realise I haven't got enough. So I need to order them before I start getting that on. I'm just waiting for that guy to drop the last of the money in so I can order that. Hopefully in the morning. I think I'll just grab another primer just to be safe. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. It's easier to have it than here. It's not terribly dear for another kit of that for me, just to me have it sitting here, and I can use it on the next project or whatever. So yeah, not far away. Hopefully we can get these. I think I'll concentrate on the guards and the valances and stuff, so we can get this black shit sorted. Now that I've got everything in primer, I was just taking the opportunity obviously to get the door sprayed and whatever, but we'll get these bits and pieces blocked out, and if I can get the missus here, I'll get her to block the body, and I'll work on the shitty stuff, and we'll see when we get that all blocked out with 240, unless we can see what we're going to chase. At least now with a few coats of high builder, you already, doesn't matter if you sound me in through the primer and it looks nice and smooth, and you put on a couple of coats on it, and it looks good apart from a couple of bits of glazing putty before you blow some primer. At least we'll know we're in the ballpark, so I think they'll come up. They'll come up. You know, they're not far away. It just, yeah, first prime's always a bit of a funny one, especially on shitty shaped panels like that. There's so many curves and stuff in it. You don't see it. Sometimes you don't pick everything up until you actually get some primer on it. With high build, unless you're going to frickin' mud the whole, every frickin' inch of it. But I managed to get these looking right, and these are definitely in better shape, especially these grooves. These gave me a hell of a fight. That was an absolute mongrel. I ended up taping those edges. I think I taped here. No, I taped down here once I got that right, and I taped there, and then backfilled with the body puller and all sorts of things on those. Geez, they were an absolute nightmare to get looking good. I'm pretty happy with them, but actually I'll turn that fuel off. Let's turn that off. Yeah, we're close. It won't take much to pull them up now, I don't think. We're on the home stretch. Yeah. Some of this is a bit high though too, from the glazing putty and shit. I knocked it down so it was reasonable. I think, you know, we'll better block it out now. Especially the 240, we'll better pull anything up and smash this little bit of glazing putty in some of these funny holes if it's still there, or we're getting down a bit and whatever. I wouldn't say I'm happy with this, but I'm roughly happy with the shape of it now. Before it was freaking ugly before I started going back through with body filler when I realised it was in the sun. It looked like freaking terrible. Probably look terrible again in the sun now, but anyway, we'll bugger off. I might come down here later on and maybe do a bit of blocking on the body. We'll see. But yeah, I'll leave this stuff for a while and we'll catch you later on. Right, morning guys, so welcome back to another video. So I just posted a video up from a few days ago. I've got a bit of footage for the next one, I think. But yeah, so I had a question just now, pretty much popped through from the new video that I just posted up. You know, I don't really know what his name is, because on his logo it's just got one on a red logo frickin' thing. It's just got one on it. So you're wondering why I don't spread stuff out in here. The main reason is the tractors, the motorbike, and a lot of the other stuff around here, like even a lot of stuff in these blue shelves is not mine. The owner of the building, this is on his land, so he uses it as well. He owns the Studebaker. That was the first car I did in this workshop. The plans are, if I happen to stay here and keep going and things go well, he's going to build another shed. I don't know if it's going to be this big, but out that side, running, well, this is, well, that way's north, south, east and west, so it'll be facing east, it'll run east, with the doors probably to the north. So then a lot of that stuff will move, and probably a lot of his gear will disappear out of here. There's lots of crap on these shelves that I just love to just move and get out on the road. And eventually, what I would like to do, these blue shelves that are here, put them over against that wall and set them up so I can stick parts on it. And eventually I will get myself, when I get enough funds, I want to get myself a couple of one of those big, long, like 52-inch roll cabs, and maybe a bigger toolbox to sit on one end of it, and bits and pieces so I can sort my tools out better and You know, I feel like I'm tripping over myself a lot of the time because I just don't have the places to put things cleanly and set shit up. It's just unfortunately just come with time. Or if I happen to move to another building and just had my own gear, yeah, it won't be quite so much of an issue. That's partly why it's like this at the moment. So, like if you go right back to the very first video on the Studebaker, you'll just see what this place was like. It was just stuff everywhere. Like there was wood and bits and pieces and crap and stuff. We managed to kind of clean it up, and we've slowly cleaned up, and I've gained more and more space as I've gone over the time. But yeah, I'd dearly love to have a lot of the just stuff that's around just completely out of my road. There's lots of stuff here that's just not mine that I'd just like to have gone out of the way. Because my idea is that piece where that tractor is with the lean-to over it, or with the mezzanine floor, is to actually, I wouldn't say, I don't want to fully seal it up, but I would like to make it so I've got some heavy plastic sheeting on it and put some decent lights in there, maybe line the walls out with some white plastic or something like that, and the roof, and put a heap of lights in there, and maybe put a fan in the wall so I can paint in there and not have to worry about overspray on everything and all that sort of shit. That would be just great. Yeah, and eventually have it so I can have a couple of cars in here on full working, so I'm spreading the load between cars for people for money too. And also that would be better for me because I'm not restricted to income from one car per se. I can sort of spread it out a little bit, and I know I've got more than one income source coming in at a time. So when you get issues like I've had just recently, you know, I'm not waiting on money to come in from one source. You know, if I can have a bit of money here and a bit of money there come from 2 or 3 different little jobs, you know, maybe the odd little job in between as well, with stuff. If I can have the whole workshop, like I can have I can have parts in the booth to paint, and I'd like to keep this area to just fabrication on a car, and obviously stuff over there making stuff. That's why I'd also like these shelves that are right, because I can set some of these other tools up along here that they walk through. Yeah, and maybe have like another car over there, some sanding body work, maybe in this area. I'd still like to keep this area here free against that mezzanine, I'd like to set that up so I can put partly painted stuff and whatever over there as I'm going. Like if I get stuff painted, I can move it over into there and have it set up. Like it would be ideal to have a set of stairs there so I could put stuff upstairs too, but you know, that all takes time. I'm kind of relying on the owner getting stuff out of here eventually if he builds another shed, because he's planning on building another shed over by his house as well, which this will go in. And I think he's got a 37 Chev, and I think there's some other stuff as well. So some of the stuff will disappear, and if he builds, I think he's talking about building a 3-bay over there, maybe a 4-bay shed, and then a lot of those tractors, and we can get a lot of all the extra stuff out of here, and then I can set up heaps of other things. But we'll get sanding, and yeah, we'll carry on from there. But that's the explanation. It's kind of why. Right, so you can see, like, when I first started blocking this out, like it's not perfect yet, and it's well, I wouldn't say it's not far away, but it's not close yet. But when we first started rubbing the block over that panel, it looked terrible. Like there was frickin' lines and marks and shit all through it. Like we're still a little bit in here. That is going to need some glazing putty. That will probably need some glazing putty. This here I think we'll get with primer. There's a little bit of marking up around here, which hopefully we'll get with primer. There's like a little bit around here too, which I think will fill with a few more packs of primer. I obviously haven't blocked this out yet. We've got a few little bits down here which I'm hoping that I might be able to just clean up too. It might need a little bit of glazing putty and just a soft sand into that corner just to knock it off. And obviously a few more coats of primer and a little bit up in here. But generally, you know, that piece there now it's flat. You know, that's smooth and flat. Yeah, generally. Now we don't have to worry about in here. We don't have to worry about anything that's underneath here. Within reason. You know, I'm not too stressed. We'll clean this up a little bit. Obviously knock the body filler out of here. Just to get a good file and clean up and make sure that's free and open, not full of shit. But yeah. Unfortunately, it's a little bit thick in places. It's just kind of what I have to do to fucking make it right. It just shows how much, you know, you think you're not too bad when doing metal work. But yeah, again, it's like I could have spent fucking days trying to really bring this in with metal work and hammering and dialing and shrinking. Like I could have pulled that brace off and got this heaps flatter, and you know, but it's how much time, you know, we're having cost issues and time issues in it already, so, you know, with this guy, so you just got to kind of, well, it's not too bad, it's going to be a little bit thicker in spots. You know, what do you do about it, you know? Just blend it out and scrape the mud in there. It is thick in places, but it's not horrendous. It's not that thin, but it's not horrendous. It's sort of about as thick as I would ever want to put into a panel. But in a lot of places, it's not that thick. But what do? You know, to try and make it look decent. Sometimes it's just what you have to do. You can only work within budgets and what you're working with, and you know, you've either got to have the time frame of doing a lot of metal work and straightening and heating and whatever to really pull it up, or get where you think it's close and then just start mudding it, and yeah, I hope you don't have to go backwards. You know, you get to the point where you think it should be pretty good when it's got a bit of mud on it. Yeah, and I hope it's just not end up stupid thick or chasing your tail. But yeah, I think we'll be right. We're damn sight closer than we're used to anyway. So I'll keep sanding, and we'll get there. If the weather finds up a little bit later on today, I might mix up another batch hopefully and get these primed near the end of the day. Would be really good if I can, but I would also like to get the undercoat on this shit so it's good to go, and I'll mask out all the edges that are could get overspray on from the undercoat. I don't really want it on the primer if I can avoid it, but yeah, we'll keep going. Right, so almost done with this. I've put a little bit of glazing putty. I'll just start to knock it back, just where I put it in. Just a few little troublesome spots, nothing really. Mainly some stuff around here and a couple little funny spots around here. A couple little bits there. That was, they had a funny little low spot there still. I think I picked up a couple little bits on the edge. So yeah, we'll knock them off afterwards and that'll be ready for a really good prom. We'll probably put 4 on it to give it a good build. So hopefully when we block it out with 400, we'll get it really dialed in. So it's been blocked with 220 at the moment. So you will bang about four good coats in it, I would think. And we'll just see what the other one's stuff turns out like. And yeah, that should be ready to block with 400, and then I'll get a couple of light coats and a soft block or even hand block, just yeah, soft block ish with some 600 maybe wet, just to really smooth it out and just, just bring it up really nice so it's ready to be painted black. So yeah, it's a big vast difference from going from primer to, or going from body filler to primer, even with the first block out. I think they said 3, I think I might have put 3 coats on it. I might have put a little bit more than that, probably 4. But yeah, it blocked out pretty well. It was just a few little troublesome areas, and I knew they're probably going to be there. It was just a matter of blocking back and see how much you could get off it, and then just try and fill those funny little frickin' shitty spots that fight you, the bead roller frickin' bit and being not very straight. And this is the one we did about 30 shrinks in here to try and get it to sit with a nice shape. I probably could have gone a lot longer to really get it in, but like I said, you got to try and get to the point where you think it's going to be okay, and then mud it and hope for the best, if you know what I mean. Or you just spend a lot of time on it. If it was a real high, super high dollar job, like some of those guys that spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, well, you'd make sure the metalwork was as perfect as you could. You could spend a week or more really trying to hammer and dolly and shrink and whatever, and you'd get it as almost as flawless as possible, and then you put a little light skim on it, and on any troublesome spots that you're having issues with, and then you'd smash a heap of hide board on it and block it out, and you'd be pretty close. But that just takes a lot more time, to try and get. But this is it's only going to be I wouldn't say a daily driver, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be a show car. It just wants to be nice. So yeah, well, it'll be nice. So I got that one blocked out. We're going to knock a little bit of putty off it. Right, really hardens up properly. I'm in the midst of blocking this out. That's reasonable. It's got a few little bits and pieces just to fill. You can see there's was little stone hits had been where I knocked them down, but it's still the odd high one. But it's reasonable. We'll have to put a little wee spot of glazing in here and there. Okay, knock it off, and then we'll pour another 4 coats on it, and hopefully we pull it up to it's good enough to be what it's going to be, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but that's all morning it's taken me to do just those 2, and I'm not even finished this one yet. Just blocking it out now with 240. Anyway, I'm going to go some lunch, and then we'll come back and keep going. I'm hoping I can get these 4 knocked out by the end of the day, and if the weather looks okay, I'll flick that outside and we'll prime the outside of these, and then drag them out of the road and bring that back in. I'm hoping to do that for the end of the day, even if I have to come down here at 6 or 7 and blow 4 or 5 coats on and be done with it then. But yeah, I want to get primer on these tonight again if I can. as long as nothing sneaks up and bites me in the arse. I might even try and get that. It's only going to get a little bit of glazing putty to knock off as well, and that's ready for another hit. I might even try and get that other front fender. I'll have to have a good hard look at it before I do blow any more on it. But yeah, just double check that I'm happy with everything, and that it's only going to take a few more coats, you know. But yeah, so basically the last 2 coats sort of just allows for, just in case you've got anything else that you're, any little minor imperfection that you might have to chase, blow a couple of light coats on it, rub her out and be done with it. But yeah, we'll carry on after lunch. Going up. Right, I think I'm finished sanding the stuff. I was contemplating priming the stuff again, but I think I'm tempted, because I've got the other balances and stuff and whatever ready to prime as well. But I'm thinking, just depending on what the time is, but I might even come back down later on a little bit. Setting all these panels up. I don't want texture coated them inside. I should have the other bottle of stuff here shortly, and flick that outside for whatever, for a wee bit. The weather looks like it's stable enough. Lay all these panels out, give them a light sand on the inside, and smash a few coats of that on the inside of all those panels. That'll sort all them out, and then prime them all in the morning, and it won't take long for them to dry to move them out of the road for a while, and then I can concentrate on probably the body and the hood tops and sides and everything again, and maybe finish the doors and even give the back of that chassis a light rub back. Actually, that's probably what I would do. I'd probably concentrate on that in the morning after I've primed, and then I can concentrate on the body or whatever. Hopefully Rachel might be able to fucking give me a hand tomorrow. I've been trying to get her down here for the last couple of days just to block this flat bits out in the body. Just make a hell of a difference if she can help me. Especially get that knocked back for that first bit on the sides and around the back again and whatever. I can concentrate on this stuff and on the slightly more tricky stuff. Because then if we can get this texture coat and another prime on it, if I get a really good prime on this stuff, 4 or 5 coats, get a really good build on it. Because I know the guard's always one of those funny things, because they're very curved and they've got those funny little shapes and funny little edges and stuff. And even this here, this is pretty easy to sand, but you get into the corners and they're a bit of a shit of a thing to sand. So I've got plenty of primer on. I can block the bulk of it off and just do a lot nicer job. It'll help fill any funny spots or any bits that aren't terribly level. Just make my life a little bit easier. That stuff's frickin', that primer, I love it. It's absolute magic. Until I find something better, I think I'll just get using that for whatever else I want to do. I'm pretty much sold on it. I just like to get it, so we can get a better 2.2mm gun or something like that. Just something that I just seem to have less serious issues with. I was going to get another tip for that one, but I think I might. I don't know if I get another tip for it, or I might just get something better and have that as another backup, if you know what I mean, or whatever. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. But yeah, I think I'll get these set up, give them a light rub on the inside, and we'll mask all the edges off that mask it, quite a bit of them off so I don't have to get shit anywhere I don't want it, especially on the outside panels. And then in the morning we can flip them all over. That'll give that shit plenty of time to dry, and then it won't matter if I get any primer and over top of it. It won't matter a shit then. And if it does happen anything on the outside of it, we can give it a little light rub off, and by the time we put 4 or 5 coats of primer on, as long as we knock anything off the outside of it, we should be golden. And get another block out, and then hopefully another couple of light primes, and we should be good. What's today? Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. So if I can get another block out tomorrow, late tomorrow, Saturday, or something like that. Yeah, we mightn't quite have them painted by Sunday, but yeah, we'll be close. Even if it's Monday morning, Monday sometime it won't matter. Especially if I can get Rachel to give me a hand to do some blocking on this body, because the doors are basically done, and I don't think these hood tops. Just looking at these, I don't see any. I don't really see any marks here that might give me any issues. Yeah, I don't see anything. There's an odd little dimple in there, but I think that'll disappear. Yeah, I think we should be okay. I wouldn't be surprised if, if I basically paint all this black stuff one day and then maybe a day later painting the body, if you know what I mean. Or, that'll give me a day to put the motor and box and everything on and set the body on and whatever. And then, yeah, getting that ready to paint next week. Because the week after, basically, I want to have it as close together as I possibly can. And that'll give me an opportunity with a few little bits and pieces to get them tidied up. Give them a quick prime and buy some black on or whatever. A few other awkward bits. I can smash 4 or 5 coats on them and then a bloody good rub out. Because most of it's not going to need body filler or anything like that. It'll just be a few good coats of primer and smash some paint on it. Yeah. It should be good. As long as it doesn't take too much to get it roughly pieced back together. All I want really is the steering box and the steering column and bang a couple of screws in for the dash, cuts in there and all that shit. I'll get myself sorted out here and we'll see what we're going to do or how we're going to do it.